Hi everyone, I'm glad that you're all here. Today's session 5 already. After this session, we have made it halfway through. In today's session, we'll cover seasonality campaigns. Right? Finally, we come to the chapter where the real ROI is being generated, how to implement bottom of the funnel, high ROI seasonal campaigns.
Just a quick note, because you're following this content on YouTube, if you complete all the 10 sessions, you will receive this certificate of completion. You can access it through the link below. The course is widely acknowledged by corporates, D2C brands, and most of the larger agencies. You can add it to your curriculum vitae, your CV, as well as your LinkedIn certificates, and this will help to propel your career. Now let's get back to the content.
Right, let's take a quick look where you're at throughout the course. So real quick, remember what we discussed in the introduction session. The entire influencer marketing strategy is structured into 2 phases, right? We have phase 1, which is new partnerships or partnerships with new influencers, so first-time partnerships. We're trying to identify which influencers are able to perform. This was covered in session 2, 3, 4. So session 2, 3, 4 are all about phase 1. And then session 5 is all about phase 2, right? So this is where we will reutilize the performing influencers which we have identified throughout the work we have done with what we learned in session 2, 3, 4. And this is where the high ROI and the most revenue is being generated, which is also why I often refer to it as the money chapter, right? So from all these chapters, and I always say that almost every chapter is the most important one, but this one in particular is interesting because this is where the most revenue is being generated, right? So without further ado, let's dive right in and go through the course or the session content overview. So at first we will begin with a quick definition. We have already defined it quite in depth in the introduction session, but that's already a few sessions ago. So we will start with a quick definition, explain what exactly are seasonal campaigns, and then we also discuss the importance. Then in chapter 2, we will go through budget allocation, right? How do we actually forecast and allocate budgets to those high performing and medium performing influencers? Then we have return on ad spend forecasting and also calculating your ROI. Reporting itself will be covered in depth in a separate session, but we will slightly or lightly touch on this throughout this session because it's relevant for seasonal campaigns. Then we go through a step-by-step process on how to implement these campaigns using our A/B tested templates, as always. Then we have some examples and case studies to show how other brands have done this and how to be able to replicate the same. So let's start with the definition. So seasonal campaigns are promotions which are activated through influencers, right? So what is important here that I mentioned the word promotion, because what we typically do is we combine the campaign with a special offer. And we do this because of a specific reason, right? We want to give our prospective customers a reason to buy. You can consider phase 1 more top of funnel brand awareness campaigns, right? The same way how in your creative strategy with your paid social, you have different stages of where your customer at, the customer journey. You can consider it in a similar way that we have our testing campaigns, our phase 1 campaigns, which are more top of the funnel, because it's not connected in most cases to a special offer, right? Which is also why the conversion is a little bit lower in those phases. And then in phase 2, we will organize seasonal campaigns, which are typically linked to specific retail events. So some examples are Mother's Day, Father's Day, Easter campaign. You can do a summer campaign, Halloween, right? If you are selling, if you're an underwear brand or lingerie brand, Valentine's Day, for example, is big for you. And obviously the most important one is Black Friday, Cyber Monday, right? Which is probably relevant for most of us here. So we basically link a retail event to a special promotion, to an offer. And we communicate that offer through the influencers we work with. Okay, then we have existing partnerships will be leveraged and bundling multiple posts into packages. So this is actually what we will discuss in depth throughout this course. We will forecast the packages for the HPs and MPs. And then the importance, what I mentioned earlier, these are the campaigns, again, where we drive bottom of the funnel conversions. And these are the ones which result in the highest ROI. Okay, it's not uncommon that we achieve 10x plus ROI during these campaigns. So this is, again, I think one of the most exciting chapters to learn where and how to drive ROI with influencers. So throughout this session, session 5, we will actually be doing everything with examples. So it's more tangible and it's also not theory, right? So everything we teach in this course is strongly linked to practice. And I think that's the best way, right? It's not university where it's all theory. These are actually things which you can implement for your business and drive real results. So this is a quick screenshot of an example campaign, and I will be actually showing a few examples here of some campaigns, and then we will explain how this is being done, okay? So this is a typical sheet which we set up when we work on a seasonal campaign. So this example, I think, was a Mother's Day campaign, and you can see here in the worksheets already separated by GPs, MPs, and HPs, right? Remember what we covered in the previous session, right? That we classify based on conversions. What you can see here is already, you can see HMPS. So we actually did classify high performing, medium performers as a subcategory here as well, right? So there are always nuances to it. But this might look quite complicated, right? You see a lot of numbers and you don't know what's going on. But let me assure you, this is very, very simple, okay? It's all high school math. It's all multiplication, deviation, plus, minus, nothing complicated. It just looks like a lot because each row is just a single influencer, okay? So we have a lot of influence and then we calculate out what kind of budgets we can allocate in order to maximize our ROI. Then real quick, let me actually show you the Black Friday results after showing you how to forecast these budgets, because then it's more tangible. So what I want to do is actually show you what this sheet is about and how to build them, okay? Because essentially, we have a very simplified version of it, and this makes it easier to learn how to set up these larger sheets, okay? So this is actually a simplified version. It's the same sheet as this one, but then simplified on the most important elements so I can explain this better. So first things first, what you need is this data, right? And there are kind of two important data points which you need in order to forecast budgets. The first one is the total sales, how much sales an influencer has made. And the second one is the number of posts an influencer has made. Because what you want to do is you want to calculate out how much sales the influencer is making on average with one post, and then you can forecast packages, because you can say, hey, I want to get, for example, 4 posts, and I know that they make on average this much per post, so I know I can expect this much revenue, okay? So this is all what we do, so it's quite straightforward, but let me first show you how you can actually access this data, okay? So it's simple and straightforward if you use Influencer Hero. So let me show you first how to do that. So what we do, and this was covered in the previous session, we typically create relationship deal flows where we categorize the influencer. We have medium performers here, we have high performers here, right? And there we gather all the influencers which performed well. Just a quick tip, these are example influencers, so these are not the actual HPs we identified. That's always strictly confidential for the users and the clients. So don't think that these are influencers which all sell more than 10 conversions. These are just examples, okay? Now, what you can do in order to create those sheets, in order to calculate out the budgets, is you simply click on the 3 dots here and you click on Generate Report. And then what you want to do is, it's already selected here, right? Because we clicked from the deal flow to the Create Report, but you can also select the respective deal flow. So you can do MPs or HPs or GPs even. And then what you want to do is you want to select the date range from when until when. And then you just click on Create Report, and then you click on the Export to Excel button. Okay, then what you will get is a overview, which looks like this. And I think on default you will open here, but what you want to do is you want to hover over to Influencer Table, and you will basically get an overview of each of the influencers. And again, these are examples: the number of followers, the impressions, clicks, media value, and sales and posts. Now, what is important here for us is sales and the number of posts, these two, column F and G. Clicks can be also interesting because it provides you a bit of an indicator of how much traffic you are actually, or the influencer are driving to your website, right? But because it's all performance driven, we focus on bottom of the funnel KPIs, right? So we really focus on conversions. Now, these are the two numbers we want, okay? Sales and posts, because then it's quite simple. What you can do is basically divide the sales by the number of posts, and then you know how much the influencer makes on average with a single post. Now, let's go through this table here, because this is actually how we prepare these sheets and then actually go into executing these campaigns, okay? From a holistic view, the first step you want to do, so let me make sure that I explain this in an easy, understandable way, is we are focusing on the HPs and MPs for these seasonal campaigns. We typically leave out the GPs because the GPs, again, are the ones which are making less than 3 conversions per post. They are not really driving the needle, and it's very operationally heavy to work with them because there are a lot of them, okay? So we focus on the 80-20 principle, right? So we focus on 20%, which drives 80% of the results, which are the HPs and then the MPs as well. So then what we do is we export the file and we create these sheets, okay? So the first one is tracked sales, right? This is what we get from the report. Because remember, this shows how much sales we are able to track, okay? And this is super important. I don't think I've explained this before throughout this course. But what is important to understand in order to forecast your budgets is that attribution is not 100%, right? This is in most cases with digital marketing. But the good thing is with influencer marketing, we know quite well what the attribution rate is. And the reason is because we have worked on multiple international expansion campaigns where we've set up brand new Shopify stores for users and we helped them basically. And what we did is we looked at the performance of those brand new Shopify stores where the only channel was influencer marketing, okay? So typically if you have, a larger company and you have so many different channels, right? It's very difficult to dissect, and you have a lot of data scientists and like very sophisticated digital marketeers and people in analytics which analyze this data, and there are a lot of tools out there for this. But just to explain you guys, because we had a brand new Shopify store, we knew that around 30% on average was unattributed, okay? So what does unattributed means? It means that, again, in the software, we use affiliate links and discount codes, which is currently the best way on the market to track your performance with influencer marketing. And the influencer uses an affiliate link, right? And also a personalized discount code through which you can track the conversions. So 30% unattributed means that 30% of the sales and conversions were not attributed to an influencer, right? How do we know this number quite well? Across multiple users, clients, and their Shopify stores where influence marketing was the only channel, we saw that around 70% of the sales were attributed to influence and 30% we didn't know where they came from, but we knew they had to come from influence because that was the only channel we had, okay? I hope that's clear, because what you need to do is you need to calculate out what the actual sales are, and based on the actual sales, you want to make your forecasts, right? Because it doesn't make sense to discount it to only what's being tracked. How do we do this? Very simple. We have tracked sales and we have actual sales. We just simply divide the actual sales by the attribution rate, okay? Unattribution rate was 30%, so the attribution rate is 70%. So we just divide, in this case, the influencer made 15,000 in total sales, and we divide it by 70% in order to get to the actual sales, okay? So let me quickly see if I'm doing this correctly. Number of posts, expected sales is actual sales. Yeah. Okay, so this is under the hypothesis that the number of posts they made is 1, okay? Let me actually correct this real quick, because what you will get through the export here, and please stay with me here, is you get the number of posts here, right? So what you have here is another column with number of posts, and then I just take some hypothetical numbers here, okay? So I will do whatever, yeah, like this, and then what we do is we will calculate out the revenue per post, okay? So frankly speaking, I should have prepared this, but it's fine. We can do it like this. So actual sales divided by number of posts, right? And what we always do throughout spreadsheet is hard-coded entries are navy blue and formulas are black. Okay, so you know exactly where things are manually entered and where we are using formulas. So then what we know here is the revenue per post. Okay, so the revenue per post is again just the actual sales divided by the number of posts. So very simple. This influencer made $4,400 in sales per post. Throughout this course, we use US dollars as the default currency. This influencer made $3,645 in revenue in one post. Right, total sales divided by number of posts. Then what we want to do in order to forecast the budgets is we want to say, okay, how many posts are we going to get in this seasonal campaign, right? So this is confusing because number of posts, we will say number of posts in campaign, right? So these are the packages which we're going to offer to the influencers, right? So let's say we are just asking 4 posts for all of these influencers, right? Then what we want to calculate is, okay, what are the expected sales based on this package of 4 posts, right? Which we want to ask in the seasonal campaign. So simplified, that's the number of posts in the campaign or in the package multiplied by the revenue per post, right? So this is actually here, revenue per post multiplied by the number of posts in the campaign. And this sheet, by the way, is in the description below. Now it's updated, so it's correct. So what we can see here is that we can expect these 10 influencers to make these amounts of sales in this package, okay? So if the influencer makes 4 posts, this influencer is expected to make 17 grand, 14 grand, 18 grand, 37 grand. So that's great, actually. This influencer is really good, which comes because it's only posted one time, right? And then we can calculate out the budgets here. Right, so we have the fixed payments and the affiliate commission. Let me quickly double check because this is also has to be corrected. So what we want to do is for return on ad spend is divide the, that's actually good. So we go through this together, okay? So let me explain all the columns. So we have expected sales. This should be clear now, right? This is revenue per post multiplied by the number of posts. And then we have the budgets, which we want to allocate to this deal, okay? So to each of these influencers. So what we prefer to do is actually work with fixed payments over affiliate percentage, just because affiliate commission becomes expensive with high performing influencers, okay? Because again, we are often able to get to exceed 10x plus ROAS. There will be a 10% commission. You often have to offer more. So this is the commission which we offer, and this is fixed payments, and then we can calculate the return on ad spend, okay? Now, let's go through this sheet right here, because this is essentially a simplified version of this sheet. This right here, again, is a practical real campaign, and what it actually is just an expanded version of this one, okay? So each of these rows are one influencer, and then what we do is we use this sheet to forecast how much sales we can expect from each influencer. And then what we do is we allocate budgets in order to optimize for ROI, right? So let's take a quick look again. The sheet here, which we exported from Influencer Hero. If you're not using Influencer Hero, then you probably need to export this from Google Analytics, or if you're using other third-party affiliate tracking software, right? They typically have these analytics, and you have to either request to export this, or they have an export to CSV function as well. So you have, again, 2 metrics here are important, sales and number of posts, because what we want to calculate in this overview here is how much each of the influencers sell per post, and then budget forecast how much they are going to make in sales with a set package. So let me just explain this by this table. Before we go there, there's just one important thing. So what we see here is tracked sales, and then column C is actual sales, right? And I don't think I have mentioned this or explained this until now in this course. But what's really important is to understand the difference between tracked and actuals. Okay, so with influencer marketing and digital marketing in general, attribution is rarely, if not never, 100%, right? And with influencer marketing, it's the same. Attribution is not 100%. So what we get from the export here are the tracked sales, right? How do we track sales? We use affiliate links and we use discount codes, those two, okay? That's the best way to track the performance of influencer marketing at this stage. And we can create the affiliate links and discount codes in Influencer Hero, and then we get the tracked sales. Now, what is important is that those are not the actual sales, right? And the good thing is we actually know the number of the unattributed sales or the attribution rate quite well. And the reason is because we worked on many different international expansion campaigns for users, or we helped them. And what we did there is we set up a brand new Shopify store in a different market, and the only channel we drove was influencer marketing. And across multiple brands, what we saw consistently is an average attribution rate of around 70%. Okay, so that means around 30% of the total conversions were not attributed. And how do we know that? It's because we compared the tracked sales, which we had in Influencer Hero, with the actual sales in Shopify, right? Now, this becomes a little bit more complicated if you are an 8-figure, 9-figure brand, just because attribution becomes more and more complex, right? You have so many different channels. You don't know exactly where the traffic is coming from, where the sales are coming from. You have a lot of data scientists, like specific people which specialize on dissecting this, and there are tools out there for this as well. But you can still expect a similar unattribution rate just because the mechanism behind it is the same, right? You give affiliate links and discount codes to the influencer, and people, well, I can give you a quick example, right? People use different browsers, right? For example, if they use Safari on their phone, on the iPhone, but they saw you first on their desktop, right, where they use Chrome. The cookie is not set because it's a different browser, attribution gets lost, right? That's just one of the examples. We go much more in depth in attribution tracking and reporting in, I think it's even the next session or the session after that. But what you just need to know here is that you need to forecast based on actual sales, right? And how do we do that? It's quite simple. We divide the tracked sales by the attribution rate, right? So we take 70% here. You can lower that, increase that if you want to build in a safety buffer. But we typically work with 70%, okay? So by dividing it by 70%, you calculate out the actual sales, which are in column C. And then what we have here is the number of posts which the influencer made, right? So remember, we got that from the reporting here. So these are the number of posts the influencer made. And then what we can do is we can calculate out the revenue per post. And the revenue per post is quite simple. It's simply the actual sales divided by the number of posts the influencer made. And then we know, okay, this influencer made 7 grand in sales per post. This one, 3 grand, 4 grand, and so forth. Okay. Then the next step is we want to forecast how much the influencer is going to make if we offer a package. Okay. I have an article linked here below, which is called How to Maximize ROI with High Performing Influencers. And the main theme around this is that we prefer to work with fixed payments with influencers, with high performing influencers at least, over affiliate commission, because affiliate commission gets quite expensive. At the same time, by using fixed payments, you can lock in the influencers, okay? Whilst with affiliate commission, it's quite open, right? Because they earn based on the performance. So they might stop after 2 posts because they forget about it. But if you make a package and you say, hey, we want 4 posts and you get $3,000, they commit to the total number of 4 posts, right? So it increases commitment, which is really important because throughout these seasonality campaigns, let me just quickly explain this here and then we continue with the table. There are just 2 determinants which will determine how much revenue you make. I think I said that earlier as well, is the number of influencers you onboard and the total number of times each influencer posts. Okay, so you want to maximize for those 2 numbers. Now let's get back to the sheet, okay? So we don't drift off. So the revenue per post, again, is the actual sales divided by the number of posts, right? And then what we want to do is we want to create a package. So we say, hey, we want this influencer to post in this seasonality campaign, and throughout this part, we will just take Mother's Day as an example, and the influencer will post 4 times, okay? Or that's the package which I'm going to offer to the influencer. Then the expected sales of this package is simply the revenue per post multiplied by the number of posts we want to offer in this package, right? So it's column E multiplied by column F, and we get to column G, which is the expected sales. So by offering, again, 4 posts in this package, we can expect that the influencer makes 29,000 in sales, this one 14K, 18K, and so forth. Then what we're going to do in column H, we're going to enter what the fixed payment amount is, which we're going to offer for the package of 4 posts. And in this case, it's 3,000, 2,000, and we basically play around a bit to optimize the ROAS, which I will get to in a bit. And then we also have a column for affiliate commission. Why do we offer, or why do we add this here? Because, for example, for medium performing influencers where the performance, for example, varies a bit, I prefer to do a combination between fixed payment and affiliate commission just to hedge, okay? Because affiliate commission is a good hedge because there you only pay when the influencer sells, but it becomes expensive when the influencer sells a lot. And then you want to actually, or you are able to achieve higher ROI by using fixed payments, okay? So it's, you just need to be careful with this. But typically speaking, what I do, or what I prefer, what we prefer to do is with HPs where we know they perform well, they make a lot of sales and it's kind of low risk. We always work with fixed payments. With MPs where it's a bit in between, we work with a combination of affiliate commission and fixed payments. And then with GPs, if we invite them, we work with affiliate only. There's actually one more case here when sometimes you use affiliate, even with high performing ones, is if they really know that they can make a lot of sales. And sometimes basically you get to know them quite well, right? While working with them over a longer period of time, you know them. And then sometimes it even helps to offer 10% commission because they know they make a lot of sales. They know they earn a lot of commission and the percentage sometimes just gives skin in the game. The influencer puts more effort into it because they know they sell, but that doesn't work with everyone. It's in a case by case basis. But yeah, in the sheet, we include both. And then we go to the ROAS, or the ROI, ROAS calculation, right? This formula is a bit more complicated than the rest, but still very simple math. So remember, return on ad spend is simply the revenue you make divided by the marketing cost, right? So let's go through this real quick. It's also a good way to recap the table. So we have G2, which is expected sales, right? That's the total revenue you expect. And we need to divide this by the total marketing cost. Right? So we divide it by, and we start with H2, which is the fixed payment, quite straightforward, right? It's just the payment we make to the influencer. And then we have to add the affiliate commission, which the influencer earns. This becomes a little bit more complicated. Let's go through it one by one. We have the affiliate percentage, right? Multiplied by B2, which is tracked sales, divided by the number of posts. So we get to the revenue per tracked sales, right? And then we multiplied it by the package. Let me take a step back and explain this again. We multiply the affiliate commission, I1, by the tracked sales divided by the number of posts multiplied by the number of posts in the package, okay? And this is very important. Why don't I just multiply it by the actual sales or the expected sales? It's because we only pay the commission on the tracked sales. We actually don't pay the commission on the total sales. And that's another beautiful thing about affiliate commission for you as the advertiser, is the percentage is actually lower, right? Because you only pay on the tracked sales. Makes sense, right? And just to put this into perspective, right? So if you are offering 20% affiliate commission, you're actually not paying 20%. If we assume a 70% attribution rate, you're actually only paying 14%, right? 70% multiplied by 20%, because you only pay the 20% on the 70% which is attributed. Okay, so I hope this is clear and it's not too complicated. This sheet is in the description, so you can just open it and take some time to go through the formula here. If you need additional help, just enter this formula into ChatGPT and ask him to explain it. But honestly, this should be quite straightforward. Okay, so we have the ROAS here, and then we can play around, right? So we can, for example, do here, okay, I actually want to achieve, above 10x, and I maybe increase it like this. But these are also realistic numbers, okay? For 4 posts, you often get away with $1,000 or $2,000, okay, depending on the influencer. So yeah, you can see here, right, quite high ROAS. This is typical, right? The high-performing influencer, we are often able to beat 10x plus ROI. So yeah, I think this is probably the most important part of this of this chapter or this session, is to be able to understand, okay, how do I forecast, how do I allocate budgets, right? And then we take this information and we communicate this to the influencer, right? So what we do essentially is tell them, hey, we want 4 posts for $3,000 or here for $1,000 and 10%, and we put that into the communication. Okay, good. Then let's see. We have budget allocation. What I want to do is actually briefly show the Black Friday example, and then we go into campaign execution. Okay, so right here, this is just an example again of one project, which was a Black Friday campaign. The case study is in the description below. We go in depth through this case study and how we implement and executed it step by step in session, I think it's session 9. But I just want to briefly show you guys what you're able to achieve with seasonal campaigns, right? So this is Black Friday, Cyber Monday, definitely the most important seasonal campaign for most brands, right? But you can see here, this was tracked sales, right? So 46, 44K, 26K in tracked sales of our top performing influencers. But more interesting here here is to check and take a look at the performance here, right? So fixed payment, affiliate commission, total cost, ROAS, right? Now, what's funny is ROAS stands for return on ad spend, right? Now, it's not really ad spend, right? Because you're not paying the fees to Meta or TikTok, you're paying it to the influencer. So a better term would actually be return on influencer spend, right? So we could call it ROIS, ROIS, return on influencer spend. There would probably be a better definition for it, but it comes down to the same thing, okay? 15x, 11x, 24x, 8x, 10x, 14x, 14x, right? So these are just like really good numbers, which are not typically not, well, I don't think this is possible with paid ads or frankly any other channel. I've not seen it. If you have seen it, please refer me to the media buyer. That person is very talented. But yeah, you get the point. And CMAM stands for contribution margin after marketing. So this is basically the profit after your marketing cost. You see here, right? This influencer made 26 grand in profit, right? So that's great. If you look at the total numbers, here, total attributed revenue was close to $500,000. Then the actual sales, so this were the total sales, was 665 grand. The costs were 83. So this is the total campaign, right? We had a percentage cost of revenue of 12.6%, which comes down on the total grand scheme return on ad spend of 7.9x, right? Which I think is a beautiful number on more than $500,000 in revenue. If you have 665K in revenue and you achieve a 6.9x ROAS, that is pretty good, okay? So this is what you can achieve with influencer marketing seasonal campaigns. Now let's actually dive into the execution of these campaigns, okay? Because up until now, this was all showing how things work and how it looks like. Now the important part of the session starts, which is how to implement these campaigns, okay? So don't stop here. Now the work starts, okay? Campaign execution, I think this is already covered. Structure campaign into ACE, we covered this. Recommended HPs, yes, this is important, real brief. For HPs, do it manually as possible because those are so important. I can actually show you one quick another example here. This Mother Day campaign here, the HPs, these were the HPs in that campaign. It were only, 13 influencers, right? So the HPs are typically a small group of people which generate significant amount of sales. So you can see here actually, so WUH stands for with unattributed sales. So this is actually total sales. You see, I divided by 0.7, right? So this influencer made total sales of 300 grand, right? 55 grand, 49 grand, 46, right? We have seen even higher numbers, but this is quite a good account. And then, yeah, what I want to show is just, you know, the high performers are typically a smaller group of people anyways, so you can do it manually, right? Just take your time, do it manually, personalize the messages, do whatever it's needed to get them on board. MPs semi-manually, right? And then GPs fully automated using batching feature in IH. What I will do is actually leave this. I can briefly show this, how to do this in IH, but I will show this in depth in the case study as well, where what you want to do is, let's see if I have the GPs here. I have somewhere general performers here. These are typically a lot of influencers, all right? A lot more than this in some cases. What you just want to use is you want to use the bulk tool, and then you can basically bulk invite. So what you can do is, for example, choose condition. You can say all influencers which replied to my email in the last 3 months, or which have made more than at least one sale or something in that direction. And then you can select the bulk action and you can send the flow, okay? And what the flow does is essentially you can invite all of these influencers at once. And that's actually something which I recommend to do anyways, because even for the MPs, for the HPs, I would do it manually. But if you have hundreds of MPs, you would also automate this. And you can basically just send them an invite to the campaign with the batching feature. Right? So you don't do it one by one. You don't open this deal, you click on send email, and then you invite them. That takes a lot of time, right? Instead, what you do is you simply use the batching feature to send the invitation to all of them at once. Okay? Now, let's get back to the PowerPoint. GP is fully automated. Yeah, this is what I said earlier. There are 2 things which move the needle in this campaign. Number 1, how many influencers you're able to onboard. And number 2 is how often each of those influencers will post, okay? So those are the two KPIs which will determine how much revenue you make, and you need to optimize for that as much as possible. And it's actually quite fun to run these campaigns because you know these are the revenue drivers, and it's really a mission, right? To get as many influencers to post as often as possible. So let's go into campaign execution. And we will do this by going through the templates, okay? So we will take the Mother's Day campaign as an example. In the Influencer Hero Drive folder, what you can do is you simply go to Seasonality campaigns, 0.6 here. And then we have all the templates for you. Black Friday, Easter, Father's Day, Mother's Day, summer, Valentine's Day. We'll probably continue to add more. Halloween, I think we're currently working on. So you go to Mother's Day campaign, you open this right here, and you can just copy paste this into your CRM, right? Or into your other communication tools which you use. Now, what we here have is we start with the invitation email. So this is where you invite your influencers to your campaign, okay? We structured this as commission only, and then we also have down here fixed payment and commission, okay? They're quite similar. Let's go through commission only first. So this could be, for example, for GPs or MPs where we don't offer fixed payment. And let's go through it step by step, okay? Subject line, first name, enter your brand name, partnership, invitation. And actually, this is not correct. What I would do here is write Mother's Day campaign or something in that direction. Because these are influencers you already work with, right? So what you do is first name and then your brand names, for example, Gymshark, Mother's Day campaign. And then you write, hi, first name. I hope you're doing great. Mother's Day is just around the corner and we would love to celebrate this with you. Mother's Day is one of our most important campaigns of the year and we would be thrilled to have you join. As one of our invited partners, you will have access to an exclusive 20% discount code for your followers along with a 20% affiliate commission on all referred sales. In exchange, we would like to send you one of our best-selling products to try out. A lot of people will be looking for gifts which will greatly benefit your affiliate commission. Can we send your product? Now let's dissect this email, okay? Because there are, again, a lot of important elements in here. So we start with the first name. I think that's quite obvious. Mother's Day is just around the corner, just an introduction to explain. We love to celebrate this with you. And then just this sentence, Mother's Day is one of our most important campaigns. Each campaign, you want to make it sound like this is the campaign they don't want to miss, right? And this is a bit the part of persuasive and strategic communication, which you need to learn. You need to somehow communicate that each campaign is the most interesting, important one in the year, even though you have multiple ones, okay? That's what we do here. Most important campaign as one of our invited partners, right? So make them feel special, right? Don't sound it like it's just something everyone can join, right? Make it sound special and exclusive. So as one of our invited partners, you will have access to an exclusive discount, right? So this is what we frequently do is we communicate to the influencer. This is actually a special offer which only their followers can access through them as a partner and which is not publicly on the website. Which you have to check if that's possible based on your different channels which you use. But this is a great way of communicating to the influencer. It's a very special partnership and only they have access to this offer, right? Along with a 20% affiliate commission right, on referred sales. In exchange, we would like to send you one of our best-selling products. I think that's also quite obvious. Well, maybe it's not, but an important thing is you also want to send a product ideally before the seasonality campaigns because the product arriving is another reminder for the influencer to post, right? And it binds them more to the post. So it's a great way. And then a lot of people will be looking for gifts, which will be greatly benefit your affiliate commission. So this is important to communicate that they will make money, right? By explaining, hey, it's a gifting season, Mother's Day, right? A lot of people need gifts. You will earn a lot with commission because now these influencers, you're trying to convince them to be part of your campaign with commission only, right? And then a strong CTA, can we send you the product? Let's briefly go through the fixed payment because this is for the HPs and MPs. The only difference here is that we stack up the offer, okay? It's for invited partners only, again, exclusivity. And we would love to offer you the following. And then what we like to do is we stack up the offer, okay? Make the offer look as good as possible for the influencer. So we have the fixed payment, we have the affiliate commission, you'll be able to track these, blah, 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 exclusive percentage discount code, and then our best-selling product, right? And then if it's like high in retail value, you could even put the retail value in there in brackets. Would you be interested in being part of this? Your support would mean the world to us. Can we send you the product? Again, strong CTA, right? And there was one more thing which I want to mention here. Products, we discussed that. I just missed it, so I'll just move on. It will probably come to my mind later as well. But yeah, for the products itself, just remember to start sending them out on time, right? Because you ideally want to time it that the product arrives maybe a few days or one day before your campaign launches, okay? So actually, the communication of this campaign should start quite a few weeks ahead, right? Because if you think about it, what we typically do, I think it's 2 months before the campaign, you want to slowly start the communication. And just take a look at your calendar. But if, for example, the campaign starts on the end of June, right? What you want to do is you want to start the communication, I would say 6 weeks in advance, right? So you have a few weeks to negotiate and get everything clarified. And then, am I saying that correct? Because then what you want to do, you want to have some buffer time to send the product, right? So if that takes 3-4 times, it should arrive on time as well. I think 6 weeks is too much. I think it's 4 weeks. Just double check this to make sure that you don't start the communication too late, okay? Now, let's double check. We are actually creating a similar workflow chart, which we used in the previous session for phase 1. We're creating this for phase 2. It's not done yet, so I cannot refer to it now. But once you're watching this, it's probably in the description below, where we have basically a detailed workflow chart for seasonal campaigns, which you can follow, okay? Because what's important is after you invite them, and let's say, take a quick look if I covered everything here, campaign strategies to lead campaign creation, make the KO feel special, what's in for the KO, make use of FOMO and urgency, that's a good one, to be part of the campaign, right? That's the thing which I wanted to mention, which I forgot, is a good offer, right? So this is not actually referring to the offer to the influencer, but it's the offer which you're offering to the customers, okay? Which you're communicating to the influencers. And this is super, super important, because this is not specific to influencer marketing, but you know, if you're running paid ads, right, the offer is important. And with influencer marketing, it's the same. If you have a good offer, it drives conversions. So make sure to really think about the offer, which you're going to include in the seasonal campaign, and then run it, okay? The first point here, campaign strategies to lead template creation. So how you want to structure these campaigns typically is you work with maybe, depending on how many influencers you have in your campaign, but maybe you work with 2-3 juniors and you have 1 senior, right? And the senior basically creates these templates, prepares them, and he or she gives them to the juniors to execute, okay? And the campaign strategy is the senior person really has to think through the communication and make sure that everything is right, okay? Because the way you communicate will determine the success of your campaign. Now, what is important is that you're persistent, so use follow-ups, right? Which we will also cover briefly. But once you send the invitation email, there are 3 things which can happen. And then based on that, you need to use the right templates. Now, one thing I want to mention here is what I try to explain when I work with a team is you can create SOPs, you can create the workflow chart, you prepare all the templates and try to get them to memorize the process. But what's better is actually if you tell them, hey, just try to think through the process logically, okay? Because if they understand what you're trying to achieve, it's a lot easier, right? And it's not that complicated. What you're trying to achieve is to get as many influencers as possible to join your seasonal campaign, right? And if you think from a logical perspective, all the workflows and the steps to take becomes more intuitive, okay? So again, once you send the invite, there are 3 things which can happen. The influencer says they're interested. Then we use the interest agree template. The influencer could ask for a budget, or there's no reply, right? It's actually quite similar to phase 1, where you always have the same kind of processes, but with seasonal campaigns, the same. They already work with you once, but you still have to convince them to be part of your campaign again, right? So let's take a look at the templates for this. So if they say they're interested, we use this template, okay? And again, each of these templates have been thought through and include elements to maximize ROI. So make sure to stick to this. Hi, first name. It's great to hear that you're interested. We are super excited to work with you again for Mother's Day campaign. For this campaign, your discount code is this and your commission is this. You can find the affiliate link and personal code, which are both used to track your commission below, right? You want to, again, make it as easy as possible for them to quickly copy paste the link and code. Don't make it too complicated. If they have to search for it, it will drop your posting rate. They might find it inconvenient and they won't post, okay? So everywhere, make it easy as possible for the influencer. We will send the product within this week. Looking forward to seeing your beautiful post, right? I think quite straightforward, simple, short. Don't use long emails. Always keep it short. And friendly. Okay, we're looking forward to the beautiful post. Then, if the influencer asks for a budget, you need to negotiate. Okay, and that's actually the part which we also do in this overview. So what you see here is actually negotiation. So we calculate out the budgets and then it goes back and forth. Okay, and then we keep track of everything here. Follow up 1 cent, follow up 2 cent, reply, agree, product sent, posted 1, posted 2, posted 3. Yeah, and what happens is actually the negotiation can go back and forth a bit. So you want to again make sure to use maximum offers so the junior knows how much they can allocate to close that deal, but that can go back and forth a little bit, right? Remember, these are the budgets we prepared. They might negotiate, they might ask for more, and you need to basically stay within a decent ROI. Good. Then, yeah. So let's go back to the template. Sorry. We have the negotiation template, right? So if they ask for a bigger budget, we write this. Hey, first name, thank you so much for your response. We totally understand how much time and effort it takes to manage an account like yours. However, as a small business, we are forced to work with a limited budget. For this Mother's Day campaign, we would be able to offer you and the product plus increase in affiliate commission, meaning you will receive XY percentage of all referrals made through your affiliate link. We are very excited to work with you again and would love to have you on board this campaign, right? Very straightforward, but also strategically communicated, right? Give a reason for your limited budget, right? As a small business, we are forced to work with a limited budget, right? Try them to emphasize with you, right? Which is also maybe the real case, right? We totally understand how much this is just, friendly, showing understanding for this situation. And then you can play around a bit with the offer, right? Maybe you can offer an additional product. Maybe you can increase the affiliate commission, right? Those are the steps which we actually discussed a little bit in phase 1 already in the previous session. Use those same negotiation tactics in your seasonal campaign as well. Okay. And remember, the more influencers you're able to onboard, the more revenue you make, the more times each influencer posts, the more revenue you make as well. So this is really a crucial moment in your campaign where it goes back and forth and you try to get as many MPs and HPs to join your campaign. Then what was the third thing which can happen is no reply, right? No reply means follow up. So I think those templates are, let me quickly see. So we have invitation, we have interested, we have reminder. We get to that in a second. Okay, so we don't have the follow-up templates here, I think. So what you need to do is you need to create those follow-ups yourself. And the follow-ups are quite straightforward, right? But it's just super important that you use follow-ups in this stage because again, if the influencer doesn't reply, it doesn't mean that they don't want to be part of it. They might have missed your email, right? So make sure to follow up, okay? Super important. And actually even better, don't just use one follow-up, create a sequence of 3 follow-ups and use the send flow system in Influencer Hero to just schedule it and then you can automatically send the follow-ups, right? Okay, next thing which is super important. Now that you have onboarded the influencers, right? They agree to join your campaign, the work doesn't stop here. You still need to make sure that they will actually post, right? So reminding them is super, super important. So what you do is one day before the campaign launches, you will send a reminder template, okay? Then on top of the reminder template, you also want to, again, make sure that the products arrive a few days before the campaign. That's another reminder, right? They receive a package, also binds them to post because they receive something tangible, right? And use follow-ups at every stage, right? So let's go through the reminder template real quick. It's this one. Hi, first name. I hope you're doing well. Just a friendly reminder that our Mother's Day campaign starts tomorrow. We are super excited to have you on board. You can access your link and code below. Let me know if you have any last minute questions. Looking forward to your beautiful post, right? Super friendly, short and to the point. And again, include the link and code so it's easy for the influencer to copy paste it and use it for the post. Okay, good. Then I think we should be almost done. Maximizing ROI through campaign closing. Oh, very important. Almost missed that one. This is super important. So the campaign closing. Okay. What we frequently see is a campaign revenue progression similar to this one. And then what I will do is actually go back. I will show you one more template, which is important, which is the thank you posted template, which I didn't explain, which is thank you posted. This template we'll cover in 1 second. And we have a few more actually. Sorry, let me explain this again, okay? Because there are a few more templates and I want to make sure to go through everything in this session to explain it in detail. So let's just go briefly through this entire sheet, okay? We have commission only, we discussed that, and I was already surprised. We, of course, have the follow-up templates, which you can copy paste here. we won't go through them because they're quite straightforward. So we have follow-up 1, follow-up 2. You need to adjust them maybe for your specific campaign, right? Then we have the fixed payments, which we covered. Interested, we covered. Negotiation, we covered. Then we have the reminder, we covered. And thank you posted. Let me take a quick step back before we go to the campaign closing, because this template is also important. Once the influencer has posted the first time, you want to thank them and you want to try to keep momentum up, because this is how the campaign typically evolves. So you have a spike at the beginning. So once the campaign launched, you have a spike in revenue. This is a bit specific because this was, I think, Black Friday. But what happens is once your campaign launches, you prepare, you have the reminder. So a lot of influencers post at the beginning. So your revenue spikes at the beginning. And then there's a bit of a mid section until the end where revenue is a bit lower. And then it spikes at the end, which I will explain in a bit. But what you want is to try to keep momentum up from beginning to the end to the campaign, okay? And we do that by using the thank you posted template. So here what you say is, hi, first name, thank you so much for the beautiful stories you posted about our brand, about Gymshark's Mother's Day campaign. This is actually formulated in a way if you're a marketing agency. So double check all the templates, of course, just don't blindly copy paste them. But if you're a marketing agency and you communicate from the agency to the influencer, then you write it this way, right? Thank you so much for a beautiful story posted about Gymshark's Mother's Day campaign, because you are not Gymshark, you are the agency working on it, right? If you are the brand, you just leave that out and you say beautiful stories for our Mother's Day campaign. You truly have a talent for creating engaging content. Truly twice, I would say, really appreciate it. Or maybe we really appreciate it. And then we loved your post and the way you add the personalized sense. So this is something manual, but it's so important, you guys, especially for HPs, personalize your emails, okay? Otherwise, it doesn't work. And for HPs, it's fine. Allocate more time. So double check what they have posted, and you can do that in the view page. Let me actually show you quickly how that looks like and how you work throughout the CRM. I want to go to US Instagram. Just show an example here. So if you have an influencer here and you can click on posts, right? And you can see the posts, right? And if it are videos, you can click on play and it will play automatically, right? So what I do is I work in the CRM. I take a look at the post to see what they posted about my brand. And then I make a personalized sentence to refer to the post. And that way I show that I saw their post, right? That they value their time and that they appreciate it, right? With HPs and also with MPs, this can be done, okay? Takes a little bit more time, but will increase the number of posts you can get from that influencer. Then it would be great if you could continue to give your audience access to the offer, which will stay active until enter end date. Thank you so much again for being part of this, right? What we do here is we just keep the option open. We tell them, hey, the offer is still active. It would be awesome if you continue to post, right? And that way you try to keep momentum in the middle up. And with packages, it's easier to enforce, right? Because you have a fixed 4 posts which you're paying for. But for affiliate commission, this is not the case, right? So you need to be a bit persuasive and strategic in trying to keep that momentum and trying to get them to post as much as possible. You can also be more direct and just say, hey, can you post another time, right? Or something in the direction. Just think it through and make use of that. Good. Then I think we covered it and we go to the campaign closing. And this is super important. This is the spike which you see at the end. And this is what we do with every seasonal campaign. And you can really drive a lot of sales in the campaign closing. And the main reason is because of FOMO and urgency, right? Because what you're doing now is you are communicating through the influencers that the campaign and the special offer is ending on this day. And a lot of customers think, oh shit, I don't want to miss out, right? And they click on the link and make a purchase. Okay, so how do we do this? We use this template here. Let's go through it. Hi, first name. I hope you're having a great week. I just want to inform you that this will be the final weekend of our Mother's Day campaign. It would be awesome if you could give your followers one last chance to get their gift in time. In case you would like to give your fans one last chance to access the discount code, this is a placeholder, so it would say 20% offer, which ends on enter day. You can use the link and code below. Link and code, let me know if you have any questions, right? And this works super good. And well, the reason I'm laughing is because it just reminds me of all the times I worked on these campaigns. And what's interesting is actually, right, it becomes a mission, right? You want to get as many posts as possible in your campaign. Typical duration of a campaign can be 1 or 2 weeks, right? So you have the start of the campaign, you keep momentum. So the longer ones are 2 weeks, Black Friday, for example. But yeah, typical, you can do 1 week, should be fine. So you have the start of the campaign, and then you have the mid few days, and then you have the closing, right? And you want to maximize the number of posts during that week. And what we typically did, a few strategies, and you have to take it a little bit of grain of salt, right? But what we sometimes did to maximize ROI is with the fixed payments, you ask for example, 4 posts, right? So what we typically did is we try to get all the 4 posts during the week. So we have the beginning of the campaign, and then during the week, before the ending, we would try to collect all the 4 posts, and then we would send this email. And what happens often is you get more posts at the end of the day than what you agreed on originally, okay? Because the influencer makes a few different posts, stories, reels, different ways of working with you, and you typically get more posts anyways. So that's something also to keep in mind. You know, when you allocate your budget, just keep in mind that if you do it the right way and you communicate in a strategic way, you're typically able to get more posts out of the package than what you originally agreed on. And this is just one way to do that. But again, you know, do it in a strategic way, because you don't want to upset the influencer. But what we see is that you are typically able to get one more post. If you tell them, hey, it's ending, could you make one more post? They don't mind too much. They make one more post. So that's one more post, you know, what you're not paying a fixed fee for. So that basically increases your ROI a lot. Okay. And another thing which is important, again, and I've emphasized on this, is that these last posts, they actually, the conversion rate on the traffic is very, very high, okay? Because there's urgency. The people don't want to miss out on the offer. And you just have to think about it, right? The creatives you also get from these influencers are the influencers talk to the camera saying, hey guys, this campaign is ending today, so make sure to, if you don't want to miss out, make sure to click the link below. Those are the kind of posts, okay, which you get, and they work extremely well. And you can already see I'm getting excited when I just talk about this, because it's also satisfying to see, right, if you see the results at the end. Now, one other thing which I want to mention is paid ads, how to combine this. Let me see if I have everything covered. So what you want to do is actually navigate the rest of your marketing in line with these campaigns, okay? Because it's not just influencer marketing what you're doing. What you want to ideally do is to put your paid social campaign, your email marketing, and everything else you do in line with these seasonal promotions. And that's a big way how a lot of brands are actually maximizing sales. They do these seasonal campaigns all the time. You see it all the time. You're probably already doing it. So combine everything together, right? So what you do is, if you have a Mother's Day sale or promotion, you have, for example, 1 week promotion where you have that sale. Then you have all your email marketing also going, right, emphasizing the sale, right, 20% off or whatever it is you're offering. Then with your paid social, you do the same. And what works really well with our users and how we help them is in your content library. So we have the content library under other tools. So let me fold this here, and then you go to content wall, and you will have all your creatives here, right? And you can filter based on posting date as well. So what you do is, if you do this on a yearly basis, what we do is we go to that specific date. So for example, if I'm organizing a Mother's Day campaign now, I go to last year Mother's Day campaign, I look at all the creatives, I download them, and then I use them for paid ads. Obviously, usage rights, etc. That's something we will cover in the next session. But what you can then do is you can run your paid ads in line with your promotion, okay? And then even your closing, right? Because then what you get is you get those posts of people saying, hey guys, the promotion is ending. You get that UGC and you run that on paid ads and you boost it to reach your audience, right? And that's something where your influencer marketing really starts to get in line with your other marketing channels like paid ads, email marketing, and it all works in sync. And that's when you kind of propel and get that momentum going and get a lot of growth. Good, then I think that is pretty much it for today. Campaign reporting, this is something we'll cover in the next session. I really hope this was helpful. Make sure to, it is a lot of work, but it really pays off. So thank you all for listening, and see you guys next week.